Hey, stop what you're doing and listen to me, because this isn't just another video. This is a divine interruption. A wake-up call straight to your spirit. You're standing at a crossroads, and the path you choose right now will shape everything. You're spiraling, aren't you? Feels like everything's unraveling. You're trying to hold it all together while your heart screams in panic. And the lie you've been believing, the one that's been whispering in your ear, is that because life feels out of control, God must not be in control. But that couldn't be further from the truth. He hasn't left his throne. Not for 1 second. He's not pacing heaven, trying to fix your mess. No, he saw this coming. He planned for it. He's already in your tomorrow, working it out in ways you can't even imagine. This moment, right now, isn't random. It's not accidental. This is a sacred collision between your pain and his promise. So, don't scroll away. Don't let distraction steal what heaven is trying to deliver to your heart. If you stay here, if you lean in and open up, you won't just feel inspired, you'll be transformed. I'm not giving you a sugar-coated pep talk. I'm not interested in shallow comfort. This is real. This is raw. This is redemption in the making. God is moving in the background with precision, with strategy, with love so deep, so fierce, it would leave you undone if you could fully grasp it. The very thing that's shaking you right now. He's using it, shaping it, refining you through it. So instead of panicking, pause, breathe, shift your focus, lift your eyes from the chaos and fix them on the one who calms the storm with a single word. He's not surprised. He's not scrambling. He's sovereign. Always has been. Always will be. You've been trying to control what was never yours to carry, and it's exhausting you. But what if I told you that your release is found in surrender? That the peace you're craving isn't on the other side of having it all figured out, but on the other side of finally letting go. You see, I've walked through the silence, the tears, the ache of unanswered prayers. I've been in the waiting room of heaven, wondering if God had forgotten my name. But now I see it. Every no was leading me to a greater yes. Every delay wasn't punishment, it was preparation. What I thought was abandonment was actually alignment. There were doors that had to close, people that had to walk away, dreams that had to die so something greater could be born. And through it all, he never left. Not once. He was weaving every thread of pain into a tapestry of purpose. So I'm telling you, don't you dare give up now. You are closer to breakthrough than you realize. You think you need clarity, but what you really need is trust. You think you need answers, but what you need is to rest in the arms of the answer himself. God sees what you don't. He sees the hidden traps, the timing that must align, the hearts that need softening before the promise is fulfilled. He's not just writing your story, he is the author and the finisher. And what he starts, he finishes. Every time. You've cried yourself to sleep asking, when, God? When will the storm end? When will the promise come? But here's the truth. God is never late. He's never early. He shows up exactly when the moment is right, and not a second before. And while you're watching the clock, he's watching the condition of your heart. Because waiting has a way of revealing what's real. Waiting develops what comfort never could. It burns away the shallow faith that only thrives in blessings, and births a deep, unshakable trust that clings to God even in the dark. Anyone can praise when the miracle arrives. But those who worship in the silence, in the unknown, those are the ones who shake heaven. So this is your invitation. Not to escape, not to run, but to anchor. To drop every fear, every doubt, every desperate how long, into the hands of the one who holds eternity. Lift your head. Square your shoulders. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are seen, and you are held. God is not intimidated by your storm. He commands it. He reigns above it. And in His perfect timing, He will bring you through it, not barely surviving, but fully alive, fully transformed, and walking in purpose. Stay in it. Don't quit. Don't walk away from the very thing that's going to grow you into who you were born to be. The fire you're facing isn't to destroy you. It's to refine you. So breathe deep. Stand firm. Trust boldly. Because your story isn't over. In fact, the best part hasn't even been written yet. God is far more interested in the strength of your character than the speed of your progress. He is not in a hurry to thrust you into a place where your heart, integrity, and spiritual maturity cannot sustain you. You see, His love is not the kind that spoils. It's the kind that shapes. He loves you too much to answer your prayers before you're ready for what they carry. That's not delay. That's divine protection. If you find yourself in a season where life feels like it's on pause, where doors remain closed, plans stall, and momentum feels like it's vanished, don't mistake it for punishment. It's preparation. Heaven is not silent. It's strategic. God is not absent. He's active, quietly constructing something in the shadows of your discomfort. You are not being buried. You are being planted. In this season, God is cultivating something deeper in you than visible results. He's refining your spirit, deepening your trust, stretching your patience, and teaching you how to walk when you can't see the path ahead. That's faith. Not just belief, but endurance. I remember a season when I cried out to God, desperate for breakthrough, begging for movement, searching for answers, and yet, silence. Nothing shifted. Nothing changed. But while I thought nothing was happening, everything was happening, behind the scenes, beneath the surface. God was aligning circumstances, softening hearts, opening unseen doors, and most of all, transforming me. What I didn't realize was that I wasn't waiting for the blessing. I was becoming the person who could carry it. And when the answer finally came, it didn't just meet my need, it exceeded my expectation. It was deeper, richer, more fulfilling than anything I could have forced into existence. It reminded me, God's timing is never random. It's always right. So, hear me when I say this. Don't despise the delay. Don't curse the process. Your waiting season is not a wasted season. It's a construction zone for destiny. Something holy is being built inside of you and around you, right now. And if you don't give up, if you keep trusting, keep praying, keep walking, you will see the promise manifest. Not when you want, but when He knows you're ready. And His timing will leave you in awe. Let me speak to your soul. You are frustrated because you only see a fraction of the picture. You're holding one puzzle piece, trying to guess the whole masterpiece. But you weren't created to see it all. You were created to trust the one who does. He sees the details you can't, the people you haven't met yet, the doors that haven't been built yet, the healing that's still in motion. He sees the beginning, the end, and every inch of the journey in between. Maybe today, all you can see is pain, confusion, and silence. Maybe everything looks shattered, random, and irredeemable. But God sees the final image. And what looks broken to you is actually being intricately arranged by his hand. He is weaving a story that will one day make perfect sense. What you call chaos, he calls craftsmanship. It's like staring at the back of a tapestry, just tangled threads and messy knots. But flip it over, and there it is: beauty, order, intention, purpose. God is flipping your situation, the mess you're standing in now. It's going to become your message. The pain you didn't ask for, it's going to carry the power you didn't know you had. He is working in the silence, speaking through the stillness, moving mountains that haven't even appeared on your horizon yet. I've had moments, gut-wrenching moments, where I asked, God, why are you allowing this? Only to realize later that he wasn't ignoring me. He was protecting me, redirecting me, developing me. If I had received what I begged for in that moment, it would have wrecked the very thing he was building inside of me. So here's what you must understand. God is always ahead of you. He's already there, 10 steps forward, preparing your future before you ever arrive. Just because you can't see the shift doesn't mean it isn't happening. Trust the unseen. Walk by what your faith knows, not what your eyes see. If you could see what God sees, you would stop worrying. You would stop doubting. But the real question is, can you still believe he's good, even when you can't see? Even when you're in the fire, the fog, the fight? Life doesn't always feel holy. It can feel overwhelming. There are struggles, heartbreaks, betrayals, losses, and seasons of silence so loud they echo. The world will pull you in 1,000 directions, offering empty answers and shallow comfort. But in every trial, there's only one answer that brings peace: God. That's why I share these words with you. This is Jesus' prayer time, where we remind one another of his promises, where we strengthen each other's faith and walk this path together. If you're searching for hope, if you're desperate to feel God's presence again, you're in the right place. Because it's easy to proclaim God is good when life is smooth. When the blessings are pouring in, when the crowd is cheering, when the doors are wide open, that's when gratitude flows freely. But what about when the sky turns gray? When the prayer isn't answered? When the door shuts in your face? Do you still believe then? Because here's the truth. God's goodness isn't conditional. It doesn't shift with your circumstances. It doesn't fade in the valley or falter in the storm. He is not just the God of the mountaintop. He is the God of the wilderness, the hospital room, the empty bank account, the sleepless night. You may feel like you're walking through the valley of the shadow. But hear me, you're not being punished. You're being positioned. You're not being forgotten. You're being anointed. That ache in your chest, that weight on your shoulders, it's not proof of his absence. It's the platform he's going to use to show you just how present he's been all along. I've lived through heartbreaks so sharp they stole my breath. I have cried out with questions heaven didn't answer immediately. But over time, I received something even greater: his presence, his peace, and, eventually, his purpose. I looked back and saw the fingerprints of God all over my pain. Romans 8:28 doesn't promise that everything will feel good. It promises that everything will work for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. That means every setback, every betrayal, every loss, every unanswered prayer, they're all being repurposed. Nothing is wasted. So today, I urge you, don't give up in the waiting. Don't let the delay convince you that God has denied you. He's still writing your story. And if you'll trust him, if you'll hold on just a little longer, The plot twist that's coming will leave you speechless with gratitude. The tapestry is being turned. And soon, you'll see it too. God sees what you're going through. Every tear that's fallen, in secret, every night you've spent questioning, every time your heart shattered under the weight of disappointment, none of it is overlooked. You may feel like life is spinning out of control, like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, like the pain is louder than God's promises. But lean in close. God is not absent in your pain. He's working through it. He takes what feels like chaos and begins shaping it into something holy. He doesn't just mend what's broken. He transforms it. Every crushing moment is being repurposed into strength. Every shattered dream is being realigned with divine destiny. The very weight you thought would break you is becoming the resistance He uses to build your spiritual muscle. Hold tight to this unshakable truth. God's goodness hasn't faltered. His love didn't expire the moment your world fell apart. His purpose for your life wasn't canceled when the diagnosis came, when they walked away, or when the storm hit harder than you expected. No, those were the moments where His grace began to shine through the cracks. Because when everything else gives way, God becomes your anchor. Let's set the record straight. You are not some helpless victim caught in random suffering. There is an enemy, yes, one who seeks to derail, destroy, and distract you. But greater still is the one who is fighting for you. The enemy tried to bury you beneath betrayal, heartbreak, and fear. But what he didn't realize is that buried things can also be planted, and God is about to bring forth a harvest from the very soil of your suffering. The pain that once felt like punishment is becoming the platform for your purpose. Remember Joseph, sold out by his brothers, falsely accused, thrown into prison, and forgotten. Yet, through every injustice, God was orchestrating a promotion. When Joseph finally stood in the palace, he didn't seek revenge. He declared a deeper truth. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. That's not just a story. It's a prophetic echo of what God is doing in your life. And think of Job. Everything stripped away in a moment. His family, his wealth, even his health. But Job didn't curse God. He held on, even when his own wife told him to give up. And when the dust settled, God didn't just restore him. He doubled him. Doubled the blessing, doubled the influence, doubled the testimony. The enemy's attempt to ruin him only amplified God's glory. And let's not forget the ultimate example, Jesus. Betrayed with a kiss, beaten without cause, nailed to a cross between criminals. To the world, it looked like a crushing defeat. But in God's timeline, it was the greatest victory. 3 days later, the grave was empty, and hell was silenced. What looked like an ending became the beginning of resurrection power. Let this sink in. The cross didn't end the story. It redefined it. God is still in the business of turning crucifixions into resurrections. Whatever has tried to kill your hope, steal your joy, or mute your purpose is being reclaimed. He doesn't just redeem your pain. He rewrites it, repurposes it, and resurrects it into something stronger, deeper, and eternally meaningful. So, if you're walking around carrying shame, regret, or heaviness, stop. You haven't been destroyed. You've been positioned. Every attack, every setback, every silent season is being used by God to prepare you for something greater than you imagine. Get ready. The season of defeat is giving way to a season of divine reversal. The very ashes you've been sitting in are about to become beauty in His hands. But understand this, the real battle is not what's happening around you. It's what God is doing inside of you. We pray for God to change our situation, but often He's more invested in changing us. Why? Because a changed environment without a changed heart leads to temporary peace. But when God changes your soul, your thinking, your faith, your character, that's lasting transformation. We want God to remove the mountain, but sometimes He turns us into mountain climbers. We ask Him to stop the storm, but instead He teaches us how to walk through the rain with unwavering peace. Because true transformation doesn't start with changed circumstances. It starts with surrendered hearts. I've been there, begging God to fix everything around me, only to discover that He was more focused on what needed fixing within me. He broke the pride I didn't know was there. He pulled out fear I thought I had conquered. He healed wounds I had buried so deep I didn't even realize they were affecting me. And over time, the change I was praying for, I became it. And that's the power of surrender. So maybe you're still in the storm. Maybe you're still waiting. But let me tell you something with full assurance. God hasn't left you in the storm. He's in it with you. You've been asking Him to take away the fire, but sometimes God joins you in the flames to show you that you're not alone. His presence doesn't always look like immediate rescue. Sometimes it looks like supernatural peace right in the middle of the chaos. Think about the disciples on the boat. The wind was howling, the waves were fierce, and they feared for their lives. And where was Jesus? Sleeping. Not because He didn't care, but because He wasn't worried. Why? Because He knew that no storm could cancel the word God had spoken over them. Friend, if Jesus is in your boat, the storm may still rage, but it can't sink you. You are not going under. You are going through. So lift your head. Square your shoulders. Wipe your tears. You're not defeated. You're being developed. God is still writing your story, and the ending is going to be glorious. He's turning mourning into dancing, ashes into beauty, pain into purpose. And what's rising from this season will be stronger, wiser, and more filled with fire than anything that came before. This is not the end. It's the beginning of your breakthrough. You're walking with the one who commands the wind and the waves. Not a distant figure in the sky. Not a passive observer, but the very God who once stepped onto stormy waters and spoke a word that still echoes across eternity. Peace, be still. And it wasn't just for the sea. It was for you. For your anxious thoughts. For your restless heart. For those seasons where the storm isn't just around you. It's inside of you. I've lived through those storms, soul-shaking hurricanes of loss, grief that weighed like an anchor, pressures that felt unrelenting, fear that crept in like a flood. And I begged God to take it all away. But His response was never absence, it was presence. He didn't always calm the storm immediately, but He never left me in it alone. He whispered, "I'm here. I'm with you." And somehow, that quiet truth carried more strength than any dramatic deliverance ever could. Because real peace is not the absence of storms, it's the presence of Christ. That's the peace that passes understanding. It doesn't always remove the chaos, but it overrides it. Maybe your storm right now feels like it's never ending. Maybe you're tempted to interpret God's silence as His absence. But don't look at the storm, look in the boat. He's right there. Steady, unshaken, closer than your breath, stronger than your fear. And He's not going to let you drown. So stop straining to find the exit. Start seeking His presence. Because when God is with you, no storm can sink you. You are never abandoned. And hear this, the storm, it will pass. But the presence of God, it stays unmovable, eternal. You've heard the lies. You've felt the fear. But what did God say? That word still holds. It always has. Let's get something straight. God doesn't break his promises. He never has, and he never will. His word doesn't fluctuate with the seasons. It doesn't wither under pressure or lose power over time. When everything else shifts, when people walk away, when plans collapse, when emotions crash like waves, his word stands firm. If he said he would heal, he will. If he said he would restore, he will. If he said he would guide, provide, protect, deliver, he will. That's not hopeful thinking. That's divine truth, straight from the throne of heaven. Your current situation hasn't disqualified the promise. It's preparing you for it. Delay doesn't mean denial. Just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it's dead. The promise is still alive, still breathing, still working behind the scenes in ways you couldn't imagine. The enemy whispers, it's too late. But God says, I'm always right on time. The enemy lies, you messed up too much. But God answers, my grace is greater. So instead of repeating what fear says, start declaring what God has spoken. His word isn't empty, it's active, living, unstoppable. There were moments I thought it was over. Times I was convinced the promise passed me by. But even then, God was still writing, still aligning hearts, still setting the stage for something better than I imagined. And when the promise finally broke through, it didn't just answer a prayer, it proved his word is unshakable. So stop agreeing with your doubts. Start agreeing with your destiny. Speak it, his promise still stands. Even if it's been years. Even if the pain is real. Even if you feel like nothing's moving, his word is. Stand on it. Shout it. Live by it. This season might feel like a closing chapter. But what if it's a new beginning, one you never saw coming? It may feel like the end, like the curtain is falling and the best parts of your life are behind you. But hear me, this is not the end. Your story is not over. The author, your creator, is still writing. And God never abandons what he starts. He takes the broken pieces, the unanswered prayers, the waiting seasons, and turns them into chapters of redemption and restoration. Think of Joseph, sold, imprisoned, forgotten. Think of David, hunted, hiding in caves. Think of Ruth, widowed and foreign. Think of Jesus, hanging on a cross. Each looked like the end. But it was just the setup for glory. And maybe that's you right now. Maybe it's been dark, quiet, heavy. But what if God isn't finished? What if he's just turning the page? I've lived it. I've watched dreams die, plans fall apart. And just when I thought it was all over, God whispered, I'm not done. And he wasn't. Because what followed was greater than anything I could have written on my own. You need to hear this. God is still writing your testimony. If you're still breathing, he's still working. That heartbreak, he'll use it. That delay, he'll turn it into destiny. That loss, he'll redeem it. So stop living like it's over, because it's not. The same God who began the good work in you, he's faithful to finish it with victory in mind. So lift your head. Take the next step. The chapter you're in might be painful, but the next one will testify. You've survived long enough. Now it's time to thrive. You stood still in fear. Now it's time to walk forward in faith. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to move. Because faith doesn't wait for certainty, it steps into trust. Faith isn't about feeling ready, it's about believing God is. And let me tell you something I've lived. When you take one step in faith, God meets you there with power you didn't know you had. He opens doors no man can shut. He places provision where you thought there was none. So stop overthinking. Stop waiting for everything to feel safe. The time is now. Move, not in your own strength, but in the power of the one who goes before you. Declare it boldly. God is with me. God is for me. I will not fear. I will move forward in faith, because what's ahead is greater than what's behind. And if this word stirred something in your spirit, don't let it stop here. Share it. Speak it. Let the ripple of your faith become someone else's breakthrough. We're not just building content, we're building the kingdom. Every gift, every amen, every share is a seed in eternity. When you give, you sow into change. Real change. Eternal change. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Now, it's time to respond. Don't just walk away inspired. Walk away empowered. Go to the comments. Write it in bold faith. God is in control. He is transforming my situation for my good. Declare it so loud that fear can't stand it. Let your words become weapons of truth. Let heaven see your faith and hell feel your fire. You are not alone. You are part of a faith family. We lift each other. We speak life. We pray bold. If you need prayer, say it. If you're believing for breakthrough, declare it. And if this message spoke to your soul, share it. Because someone you know is waiting for a word like this. And you might be the one God uses to bring it. Remember this, God's not finished. He's just getting started. And everything you're walking through, it's not punishment, it's preparation. So take a breath. Take a step. Take him at his word. Your story is still unfolding, and the best is yet to come.